I'm taking on a huge challenge, beating every N64 game ever released, including Japanese exclusives. No guides, no help, all done on the original console just like it was back in the day. The twist is the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no idea what's coming next. In the last video we played some hockey, and now we're well, you'll see. Hey, welcome back to another episode of beating every N64 game. If you do enjoy this video, consider giving it a like, as it does help out with a lot with discoverability. And if you want to catch more of these in the future, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Game number 7, Superman 64. Developed by Thabeast Interactive, released in 1999. Many of you have probably heard of this game being one of the worst games ever made, and I'm here to try to change your mind on this. I'd personally never seen this game before, so I was going in with a completely fresh perspective. My goal here today is to give my completely unbiased opinion on the game as we go through my journey to beating it. Basically, this game only has a single player mode, so our goal in beating this game is beat that story mode. The difficulty was set to normal by default, so that's where I left it. So when the game starts, there's this dude, I guess it's Lex Luthor, and he's like, you'll never find your friends in this virtual world, and that's literally all the lore we get. Look, I'm not really into superhero stuff at all, so I only know a tiny bit about the characters in these universes. Anyway, the game immediately dumps us into gameplay, and Luthor says, if you want to save your friends, solve my maze. And then we just have to start flying through a bunch of rings. I'm not sure how he set all this up or why, but if this is all we have to do to save our friends, then sign me up. So basically you have to fly through these rings in the correct order within the time limit. If you miss more than 3 rings or run out of time, you see this big message that says Lex wins, and you have to start all over. After finishing the maze, the game instantly puts you into a new mission without any kind of warning whatsoever. And this first mission only gives you 6 seconds before you lose, so I had to throw 2 cars before they crushed innocent people. I barely even had time to process what was happening before Lex wins. Unfortunately, if you lose one of these missions, it puts you all the way back to the start of the maze.
Then there's no time to waste.
What? You gotta do this again? This would become incredibly frustrating throughout this playthrough. Also, I'm not sure what Lex Luthor thinks a maze is, but this sure isn't it. The rings clearly indicate the path you want to follow, and there's even a marker pointing you in the correct direction. So nothing I could do other than solve the maze again. I was too slow on the car mission afterwards, as the car ran over some dude on a skateboard that looked like Dale Gribble from King of the Hill. Back to the start we go. Finally, on the 3rd attempt, I saved the citizens, although the game didn't really make it clear that I did. So what do you think happens when you save these citizens? A new mission, some kind of cool screen celebrating your victory? Would you believe it that immediately it has Lex Luthor saying, if you want to save your friends, then solve my maze. Again. And now we have to solve another one of his mazes. It's at least a different path from the last one, but other than that, it's completely the same. So after solving another maze, we get another one of these random missions. This time we have to put a police car at the end of a road. Which car? Which road? Where is it? Fear not, because none of these questions will have time to be processed by your brain in the literal 2 seconds it takes for the car to get blown up by rockets. Back to the start of the maze we go. The second attempt went equally well, as I threw it on accident due to the weird controls. The 3rd attempt was also a disaster, but then something amazing happened. After the 3rd attempt, the game spawned me back at the car mission rather than the maze. I guess this is kind of like a pity checkpoint for being bad type thing, but I didn't care. Look, I'm just going to be blunt with you before we get further into this video. This game's kind of bad. It's clunky and it just flat out doesn't make sense. Like, look how this police car behaves. Stop! Get off my head! Anyway, after saving the police car, we have yet another maze. This leads to another random mission where we beat up some dudes, then another maze, then another random mission where we blow away tornadoes, which uses one of Superman's powers, the super breath. As you might guess, it's very, very janky. Then another maze, but something different happens after the 5th maze. We're greeted with a message, Superman wins, instead of another random mission. Finally, some sort of progress and something different. So this is apparently now mission 2, and Mala wants to blow up Metropolis hydroelectric dam and flood the city. We have to disarm the bombs before it's too late. This level's completely different. No mazes, no flying, we're indoors now, and the game also gives us no indication as to what to do. As surprising as it is, this mission is so much worse than the previous one. The flying physics in this game are actually done pretty well, and as repetitive as flying through the mazes is, it at least works right. Literally everything else though is just not very good at all. Also, the music just keeps repeating the same 5-second loop over and over. It just starts to drive you nuts after a while. Also, you get no checkpoints in the entire mission. Basically, this mission's me wandering around aimlessly looking for something that feels like progression. See something on the ground? Try to pick it up. See a door? Try to open it. Just do anything. Eventually, I came across this pool of water with a huge electric eel in it. Something in there apparently opened every door in the level, and then I could lower the water and have Superman run awkwardly down a hallway to save the workers. They gave me a code to disarm the bombs, but Mala was there to stop me. And everyone, check out the fighting in this game. I mean, this is top-notch stuff. Anyway, I found a bomb and had to freeze it with super breath. Then freezing a second bomb gave me that lovely Superman win screen. What a nightmare. So after going through all that, what could possibly be next? Why, more mazes of course. Oh, and Lex doesn't even bother to tell you to solve it anymore. He's just like, yeah, you know the drill, dude, get to it. It turns out this game only has two types of missions. These maze missions and a full level type mission like the previous dam level. So between each mission, you can just assume I had to solve about 5 mazes or so. Moving on, now we're going to search Lex Luthor's lair for clues about our friends. So we go to his lair and there's a bunch of bad guys with guns. I thought Superman was supposed to be invincible, but the bullets hurt you anyway. I guess they do look kind of green, so maybe they're like kryptonite bullets. Anyway, we have no indication as to what we're doing here, so guess it's time to just run around until something that seems relevant to progressing the game happens. There's some elevators with one of them open, but there's just a monitor with Lex on it taunting you. The game gives you like 0.1 seconds to read what he says before getting rid of the text, so I didn't even know what he was trying to tell me. Eventually, I just found a piece of paper with a secret code on it just sitting on a random table. Very secretive. So now we can actually ride the elevator, and then the game introduces a brand new mechanic, the kryptonite meter. Basically, sometimes during missions there will be a big chunk of kryptonite sitting somewhere, and the closer you get to it, the more rapidly your health drains. Of course, it doesn't explain this, so I got wrecked by it the first time. No, Lex wins. Basically, in this level, you ride an elevator, there's a room with some kind of challenge, you complete the challenge, then another elevator opens up. The entire time you're dealing with Superman's awkward running animation and the janky combat controls. There was this one kind of creative puzzle where you had to mess with 6 terminals to spell the word Luthor. It's just so weird because we're doing all of this in Lex Luthor's place of business. Like, you know, he designed all these puzzles for Superman to do that made Lex feel good about himself. He's taunting us this entire level. Finally, we get to the top floor and there's Lex Luthor himself. Or at least, I think it's him, I don't know. After an epic battle with the great fighting physics, Lex gets on a floating chair and flies through a window, narrowly escaping. Mission complete. After that, maze, 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 maze. Oh yeah, there's also these random tiny missions between each maze. They're usually uneventful, but there was this one interesting one where you have to escort this lady who's walking along the very top of a skyscraper with no guard railing or anything like that. Lady! Look at this guy! He has a gun! Watch out! There's also bad guys shooting guns. Ma'am, I'm so sorry the devs programmed you to be like this. So on to the next mission. It appears Superman's love interest, Lois Lane, has dug her nose too deep into Lex Luthor's plans, and he has sent Metallo to take care of her. We have to save Lois before it's too late. This mission is more the same, no idea where the heck to go, so just aimlessly searching for literally anything that might advance the game, and lots of janky fighting. Also, sometimes funny glitches happen. Eventually we find Lois and she's safe with us, but she immediately runs off and gets caught in another trap. Like, we're literally Superman. Can you please let us just handle this thing, lady? Later we find Metallo and we have to get in another amazing fighting sequence with him. He also has some beam, which must be a kryptonite beam? I don't know. There was also this puzzle where you had to place boxes over beams of light to try to stop them, which is actually kind of clever. There's not many good things to talk about in this game, so I'm just trying to make note of them, alright? After the box puzzle is the final part of the level. We have to escort Lois Lane to the exit. Escort missions are just not ever an enjoyable experience in a game, and this game is no different. She walks so incredibly slow, and if you get too ahead of her, she gets attacked, and you have 10 seconds to save her. Also, apparently you're able to just freeze her and she's fine, and she even thanks you for it. It was cold, but thank you, Superman. Finally at the exit, there's the only thing left to stop you is Metallo. Unfortunately for me, he instantly shot a laser at Lois and killed her. So I had to do the entire mission all over again. I'd literally been on this thing for over an hour, and I got 0 checkpoints. So I had to repeat all of it. At least I knew where to go this time. Thankfully it only took 1 more try, otherwise I might have lost my mind. 5 more mazes and then it's on to the next mission. Now, photographer Jimmy Olsen is being held prisoner in the underground parking complex of the Daily Planet by Darkseid. We have to rescue him too. Apparently we have to actually capture Darkseid and bring him to the cops. This place is just an absolute mess. Like, I'm not sure if it's intentionally maze-like, but man, every room looks exactly the same, so it's so hard to know where you are. Also, the devs took the time to add a sign that says the speed limit in this parking garage is 25. Speed limit 25 in a parking garage? Are you out of your mind? Now, I'm hoping that's in kilometers per hour, but even if it is, that's way too fast for a parking garage. Don't do that. Even the decorations in this game don't make sense. Eventually we find Jimmy behind a breakable wall, and he says we need to find a card to deactivate some robots that'll zap him if we step near him. After wandering around aimlessly forever, I found the car in question and decided to punch it out of the way, revealing the key card. After like 10 years, I finally found my way back to Jimmy because this parking garage's structure makes no sense. He's happy to be saved, but he says there's a bomb in the garage and Darkseid plans to blow it up, so now we need to go deactivate that. Thankfully I had an idea where this was because earlier there was some locked room with a kryptonite meter when you went near it. And my hunch was right, the bomb was inside and I froze it successfully. Somehow Jimmy was magically right outside after this. This kid kinda creeps me out. He tells us Darkseid won't give up that easy. After wandering around for another 10 years, I randomly flew into Darkseid and picked him up. This fight's a bit different in that we have to pick him up and take him back to the very start of the level. Walking around with him is way too slow, so I tried flying him back. This led to some very odd interactions. Oh, sorry about that, Darkseid. My bad. After bringing him to the start of the level, the police took him off our hands. Superman wins. Yes, Superman wins! Darkseid's out cold. We'll watch him until you return, Superman. How it feels to solve 5 mazes.
Stimulate your senses.
So next mission, Professor Hamilton has apparently escaped from the parasite and hidden himself behind a force field in the Star Labs. The parasite is trying to get him out by raising the water level in the lab. It's our job to stop the parasite and save Professor Hamilton. When we first get in, the parasite's right next to us. I tried beating him up, but apparently you don't do that yet. You've only got 3 minutes to figure out how to stop the water level rising, which honestly isn't near enough time, because this game takes forever to figure out what you have to do. There's also this random pool of water with a bunch of crabs in it, and they are looking to fight. Challenging them was one of my worst mistakes of this playthrough, as they don't mess around. They could stop! Finally, I found a random terminal and you had to interact with it to lower the water. It wasn't able to be interacted with until you went and talked to Professor Hamilton first. Professor Hamilton then wants us to get a trap set up for the parasite, and specifically mentions that it will work even underwater. Oh god. I knew this meant I had to go back into that crab lair and face the crab gang. This time I took them out one by one and it was kind of manageable. There's like this device that somehow lets us trap him, I don't really know. Guess I'll try going back. And now there's this force field thing that wasn't there before. The parasite is no match for this force field. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering, this game's still a broken mess. So we just try interacting with everything until something relevant happens. Then we eventually open that force field, trapping the professor, and we can leave, completing the mission. Maze. subways! Now we found out that Lex Luthor's troops have invaded the city through the subways. Only Superman can stop them. This mission's a bit different in that it's a long, thin tunnel where you can fly through the entire thing. Being able to fly in this game is great, because the only thing that actually works pretty well. This level's actually kind of hard compared to everything else before it. Basically every enemy has rocket launchers, which shouldn't be able to hurt us, but maybe they're kryptonite rockets, I don't know. Eventually we come to the end of the subway tunnel where it collapses. A cutscene happens where you literally can't move, but the enemies sure can, and they drop my health down to 0 with nothing I could do. That guy! That's so unfair. You shouldn't be able to be attacked during a cutscene. Also, I find it funny that the subway's still operating normally, even though there's a bunch of dudes blowing things up with rocket launchers and part of the tunnel collapsed. But I guess it's an efficient subway, I don't know. So I thought I'd try to just go back to the start of the level, but Lex blocked that off too. Eventually I found some random dude who says monsters are chasing him. Turns out there's a sewer entrance behind him and the monsters were down there. Unfortunately, it's those same crabs from the last level. I hate those things. So after beating up some crabs, the dude says he knows a secret way out of the tunnels and he can show us how to get out. Yet another super annoying escort mission. Just as I was beating up some robots, the random dude yells that he's in trouble and the camera pans to some ice in the ceiling. What do you want me to do? What? What? What do I do? Oh my god, what just happened? Honestly, I have no idea what that was, but thankfully it didn't cause me to lose and have to do this whole thing all over again. Finally, we lead him to a door and he just says goodbye, and then he leaves you, and now you're on your own. Turns out that hole in the ceiling's how we're supposed to exit. No idea where it came from, but yeah. So then after we finish this mission, the game tells us we destroyed all the enemies in the city, but we need to beat it on the hard skill level to save our friends from the virtual world. And then it just cuts back to the main menu. It turns out that last mission we just beat is only available on normal or harder difficulty. And there is a final mission available on hard difficulty. I tried using cheat codes to access the true final level, but none of them were really working correctly, so I just decided, you know what? I guess this is just the ending of the game. Sure, we'd get some true ending cutscene or something like that if we played on hard, but dude, I'm not playing through this again to find out what it is. So whether you like the outcome or not, I did beat this game on the default difficulty, which is the rules of this challenge. So there you have it, my journey to beating Superman 64. And my god, this game is just not good. I tried to give it a fair chance. I'd never seen it before, but it's flat out bad. The only good thing about it to me is solving the mazes. Like the flying physics, they actually work really well. And it's at least kind of fun to fly through all the rings. However, it gets repeated so much that even that becomes really annoying. The music's insanely repetitive, the graphics are just acceptable, the draw distance is poor, the physics when you're not flying are miserable. The game's littered with glitches, and it's just so unclear what you have to do. I give it a 1 out of 10 for enjoyability, and maybe a 5 out of 10 for difficulty. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the video, consider giving it a like, as it helps the channel out a lot with discoverability. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos from it. But thanks again for watching, and here's a preview of what is coming next. What will we get? What will we get? 3, 2, 1... 281, that's very far down the list. Wave Race 64, that is a good game. Let's go.